Well, there's a lot of bad stuff happening around the world, and it turns out there's a reason for it. And when we say it, we mean all of it. Forest fires, COVID, the Syrian civil war, illegal immigration, the fight you just had with your wife. The cause? Climate change. In other words, it's your fault. You did it. You drive an SUV. You heat with a wood stove. You like barbecues. You're responsible, pal, including for the Syrian civil war. Well, one journalist called Michael Shellenberger has looked into these claims and decided that maybe climate change doesn't explain all of them. Maybe not all. Michael Shellenberger is the author of Apocalypse Never, Why Environmental Alarmism Hurts Us All. You can find his work on Substack, and you should. He joins us tonight. Michael Shellenberger, thanks so much for coming on. So you're telling me that all bad things aren't caused by my Suburban?
It's pretty crazy, that list of things that people attribute to climate change these days, Tucker. I point out in my recent pieces that they've been blaming the blackouts, the power outages in California. They've been blaming the huge fires that we've been having on climate change, even though we know that the reason we had power outages, we didn't buy enough power, we didn't buy enough energy, and the reason we had the big fires is because they failed to properly manage the forests. In fact, I point out that Donald Trump was right about this. He used a sort of inartful word of raking the forest, but really clearing and managing the forest is what prevents the high-intensity fires. A small difference in temperatures is not the thing that tips it to big fires.
So what you're saying is, when it turns out they have no idea how to run a power grid because they're stupid and have no skills, rather than admit that, they blame it on you for consuming too much or being American or whatever. But climate change is a way to blame you for their failures.
It's even worse than that, in the sense that this is a group of people who have been saying that civilization is unsustainable, that we can't all have reliable electricity, that civilization is doomed, and then they put in policies that make electricity more expensive, that make air conditioning more expensive. And I point out that Governor Gavin Newsom of California cut the budget for fire prevention in our forests, which resulted in half the area being treated for fire prevention at the very same time that the governor was attacking President Trump as a climate denier. So they're both creating the problems that they're then blaming climate change for, and then turning around and criticizing their political opponents for having created climate change and denying the problem.
Especially since these people know nothing about nature. I mean, they'd starve to death without Uber Eats. They don't go outside. They don't know, they don't know a palm tree from a pine tree. Like, they're against civilization? They all live in cities. Like, what?
They thought that when there was a healthy fire in the redwood forest, because some fires forests need, they thought that there was a healthy fire in the redwood forest. The New York Times claimed that the blackened bark was evidence that climate change was destroying the forest. Blackened bark is a sign of a healthy forest. It's what forests need for the seeds to germinate. These are people that never hike, they never get out, they don't camp, they don't know the environment at all.
Oh, that's totally right. I mean, it used to be Aldo Leopold or, the people who founded our big conservation groups, all of which are totally corrupt at this point, but they actually spent a lot of time outdoors. Where are those people?
They knew that we needed modern energy. They knew that we needed cars to be able to get to these beautiful parks. Today's environmentalists have nothing to do with those great nature savers of the past. They're actually about punishing civilization. They're about undermining the fundamentals of civilization: reliable electricity, well-managed forests, air conditioning, and the things that we take for granted.
Yeah, let's destroy the environment with wind farms and then say we're green. Really, it's one of the most perverse things I've ever seen. Michael Shellenberger, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for the work that you do, which is great.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.